What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to our 2024 NBA trade deadline live stream. It is 8:38 in the morning, and we've already had like 6 freaking trades because apparently the flurry of moves that happened right before the deadline decided to happen like 3.5 hours early. So we got a lot to talk about today, as there's been a lot of moves across the league already, including multiple guards not named Malcolm Brogdon getting traded to new destinations. So we're going to talk about that. Eric, good morning. How's it going?
Good morning, Tori. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Whether we're frustrated or not today, it's always a fun and interesting day. So glad to have everyone along for the ride. And already we heard rumors that this was going to be a dud of a trade deadline, and certainly hasn't disappointed so far this morning.
Yep, 100%. So we got the tweets on the left, as always, so you can keep track of what goes down there on the left. I want to get a countdown going in the top right. I'll get to that soon. We're just kind of going to settle in here. I initially planned on just playing highlights. I literally made a 10-minute highlight intro clip as our stream intro, assuming things would start slow today from the last 4 years of trade deadline streams, and figured, I can play that and nothing's really going to happen too quickly. And man, this has been the quickest start to a trade deadline day of any day since we've started the stream. So got a lot to talk about, and thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We'll see if the Blazers do a single thing. We'll see if they do a single thing. You got Bogdanovic and Alec Burks to the Knicks. We'll see if the Knicks are only giving up 2 second-round picks on top of filler and Quentin Grimes. I mean, that's a steal for them if that's the case. I don't know what the Pistons are doing, but I never know what the Pistons are doing. And you also have Buddy Hield going to the Philadelphia 76ers. They get their guard. They were another potential Malcolm Brogdon landing spot. So more and more by the hour, Eric, it seems like the Blazers are going to keep Malcolm Brogdon. It seems like his destinations are drying up, and it seems like he's going to remain in a Blazer uniform past the deadline.
Yep, certainly appears that way.
Yep, so we'll have we'll be live for about 4.5 hours to talk about this stuff, and hopefully I don't know, hopefully we get something to talk about regarding the Blazers. Hopefully it's not a completely empty dud of a trade deadline, but we'll see. This stream is brought to you by BetUS, who is now offering 3 125% deposit bonuses on your first 3 deposits. So you can use our link in the description box below to sign up, as well as the code JOIN125 to get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. So not just 1, not just 2, 3 deposits. Shout out to BetUS for hooking you up. Later on in the stream, we're going to take a look at Super Bowl odds, as well as maybe champion odds, and see how that adjusts compared to what it was before some of these trades went through, see how lines shift there. So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this trade deadline stream. Shout out to Pineapples, $2 donation. Says over under 0.5 pictures of Cronin running this morning. Yes. There's a picture of Cronin on his phone around, I think it was draft time, just like outside the practice facility. So I think that's what that's referenced to. Maybe take the over, because I'm not sure Cronin even plans on picking up the phone today. But we'll see. We'll see. Shout out to Javon, my bad. It's early. Member for 3 months says Pistons really got fleeced every trade. Yeah, apparently they did. Don't really understand it, but Detroit's gonna Detroit, Eric.
And that's why I kept saying, if they're going to do something stupid, we need to be the team that takes advantage of that. They still could do something more stupid than they've already done. But this is a team that apparently got offered a first-round pick for Alec Burks and 2 firsts for Bojan Bogdanovic last deadline, and passed both those offers up. And this is what happens when you wait until a player is in the last year of their deal or potentially in the last year of their deal because it really hinders their value. And they found out the hard way that waiting was the wrong choice. Just like waiting on Jeremy, Jeremy trade only netted them 1 first-round pick instead of 2 that they could have gotten at that previous trade deadline. So, yeah, it's just it's a case where it seems like these players are going for less, and that's because these teams waited to trade them. Buddy Hield isn't expiring as well, so he doesn't go for a first either. But a player like Ochai Agbaji and Kelly Olynyk do go for a first. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, strange that Toronto did that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's maybe get into some of the specific trades that have happened.
Yeah. Let me just say this. What we're learning today is it would have been better for a lot of these teams to trade these players early rather than late. Okay? They could have gotten more value trading them early rather than late. And we've also speculated as to a couple deals earlier before the trade deadline regarding the Toronto Raptors when they traded Siakam and Anunoby, if they could have gotten more if they hadn't waited on both of those guys as well. That is part of the reason why we want the Blazers to trade Malcolm Brogdon early rather than too late, because you look at the Pistons, they could have gotten back a lot more value for the 2 guys they traded to the New York Knicks today if they traded them earlier, but instead they waited despite rebuilding. There was no reason for it, and now they lose out on a monumental amount of value. So we can start with that trade, Eric. I mean, the Knicks are truly going for it. They've been really good since they traded for OG Anunoby, and now they just add 2 guys to their bench that are 2 good players. Alec Burks has played there under Tom Thibodeau. He's familiar with that Knicks team, so he goes back, makes his return to the Big Apple, and then Bogdanovic as a bench piece is just phenomenal, and they're going to be without Julius Randle for some time. Bogdanovic is the perfect type of guy to spell him and help the Knicks hold ground without Randle. And then once they get him back, I mean, that's just maybe the deepest team in the league now.
Yeah, absolutely. At first, when they announced I don't know if you caught this story, but they announced just the first part of the trade, and that was Alec Burks for Grimes and a second or something like that. And I loved it for Detroit. I thought that was great. A great move for them. And then I found out that they included Bogdanovic too and didn't get much more for it. I think they got an extra second or something. And now I hate it for Detroit. As good as I think Grimes is, just horrible use of assets and value there. So I don't understand what they're doing. They give up 2 seconds to get Fontecchio, and then they get 2 seconds for Bogdanovic. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And they give up Burks too. Like, yeah. So yeah,
it's literally basically Kevin Knox, Burks, and Bogdanovic for Fontecchio and
Grimes. And they got Articuno.
Yeah, our Archipelago and Fournier. Those guys are just filler. Those guys don't matter to this team. Fournier, there's a decent chance he gets bought out. So yeah, that's not good. That's not good, Eric. That's not a good swap for them.
I mean, if you would have told Detroit fans that would be the return like a year ago, they would absolutely lose their mind at that.
Yeah. So basically, you don't want to wait until these guys are expiring to trade them. Previous years, you could have gotten multiple firsts for Bogdanovic and a first for Alec Burks. So that's 3 firsts that they miss out on because they waited.
And the Knicks they get OG without giving up a first, and then they get Bogdanovic and Burks without giving up a first. And so they retain all their future first-round picks. They still have the assets to make a big trade in the future and go for it all in this year. Just fantastic maneuvering, I think, by Leon Rose and the New York front office.
I wish it was that easy for the Blazers to trade second round picks for very high quality bench pieces in the past.
Oh, yeah, but they couldn't do that, Tori.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, we got to trade 2 firsts from Robert Covington. Man, just brutal stuff. So, shout out to the Knicks. They're truly going for it, and I think they're truly going to be a factor in the Eastern Conference now with this trade. The OG Anunoby trade took them a step. This trade just takes them a step further.
Absolutely. I think you can make a case they're the second best team in the East right now.
Yeah. You got the Bucks as contenders, obviously. The Sixers, when Embiid is healthy, have been a good team. You got the Cavs have been playing great, won 14 out of 15 games. You got some competition there. I'm excited for the Eastern Conference playoffs. Trades like this just make me even more excited because trades like this just create another top tier team in New York. So shout out to them. Leon Rose has done a good job there. Other trades you want to talk about, Eric?
Well, you just mentioned the 76ers.
Yeah.
So I've been talking about this on Hoops Crush a lot. We've mentioned it a few times on our streams. I was fascinated to see what Morey did because they're lining up to have an insane amount of cap space this summer. And I was wondering if they would go all in this year or waste a year of Joel Embiid's prime to not give him a legit team this year after trading Harden. And the Buddy Hield, DeMar DeRozan, those are the type of players that could fit both timelines. And to get Hield for 3 seconds puts them in a perfect position because now you can kind of talk to Hield's agent going into the offseason and be like, well, we really want to retain you, but we're going to, chase a big free agent first, but we'll definitely get you paid if nothing happens. And so they have a limited window because they have to pay Maxey, so it's not like they can save their cap space after this summer. So they're gonna either hit a home run in free agency and get a big name, or they're gonna just re-sign like Tobias Harris and Buddy Hield and all that, and to only give up seconds to do that and expirings. I thought that was a really good trade for Philly.
Yeah.
And if Embiid happens to come back this year, that team has now got a shooter. I think they improved their team today if Embiid can come back at some point this year too. So we'll see. But they are looking like if Embiid is back, could be finally out of the second round.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal for them is to finally make an Eastern Conference Finals, which they have never done with Joel Embiid. That definitely has to be the goal for them before getting to an NBA Finals. They've struggled in the Eastern Conference, but I don't think the top is quite as strong, at least outside the Celtics. The Celtics look great so far. Every other team below that looks beatable, so there is truly a path. If they can avoid the Celtics, in my opinion, there's a path to the Eastern Conference Finals for them. But are they good enough to beat the Celtics in a series? That's kind of the measuring stick for all these teams, 2 through 6, 7, wherever. Can they beat the Celtics? The Heat have proven they can beat the Celtics. But what about these other teams? I'm not sure. So,
yep.
We'll find out in due time, though. But that's a good trade for the Sixers, giving them a shooter. I still liked Brogdon better for them.
Mm-hmm.
But
he does have that extra year. That was the one team I think that could possibly not give up as much value because Brogdon wasn't expiring.
Yeah, true. Other trades, Eric. The Raptors giving up a first right now for Olynyk and Agbaji doesn't make sense to me. Aren't those guys both Canadian?
I'm not.
Olynyk is Canadian.
Olynyk is for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on Agbaji, maybe. But the first is going to be the worst of several firsts, so it's going to be the 28th pick as of right now. But that's still, I mean, they're a team, I don't think they're anywhere close to the play-in like us, right? I think they're fading fast, or is the East down there so bad they still have a chance at it, maybe. But Oshai is American, says Joe. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. That would be like us once again giving up a first for like Olynyk or something today. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. My guess is they're either going to trade Gary Trent Jr. or let him walk at the end of the season, and they pick up a much cheaper replacement that I think might be just as good, if not better, in Agbaji. Giving up a first to do it is kind of iffy, even if it's a bad first. But it's kind of surprising that they're the team that goes after Olynyk.
Yeah. They brought in RJ Barrett, who's Canadian. I kind of wonder if that has anything to do with any of this, because it just doesn't make sense from a roster building standpoint. They just entered a rebuild. It doesn't make sense from a roster standpoint, even in a weak draft, to trade a first-round pick for Olynyk. I did not think that was going to be the team that traded for Olynyk. I thought there was a number of suitors out there that could have made a move for Olynyk, but you look at Danny Ainge and his ability to swing deals and get draft picks. I mean, he executes again, getting a first-round pick for Kelly Olynyk. So props to him. Agbaji, I don't know how he factors in a rotation going forward with you got wings there in Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes has played some three, you got Grady Dick there as well. We'll still see if Bruce Brown gets traded, but it's going to be interesting to see how Agbaji factors in there. Interesting trade, man.
Yeah,
I think Utah's a winner there, though, simply because they get a pick back. So who did Toronto trade to match salary?
Otto Porter Jr. and one of the guys I think they got the Knicks trade. I don't remember the other one. I'll look it up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll put together some graphics with trade details, and we'll be able to kind of recap them more. Kira Lewis Jr. was involved.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Kira Lewis. Yeah, I knew it was someone from the trade from before, yeah. But yeah. Yeah, so Utah's making moves. I saw some Jazz fans a little upset that they didn't a lot of them wanted to get their first back from OKC using Olynyk and some of their pieces, but OKC makes we're wondering if OKC was going to make a big move today. I don't know if you can consider this a big move, but they surprise everyone by landing Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, of all people.
And they get out of Berton's contract and give up Trey Mann as the asset. I think I don't know how much Gordon Hayward's going to help them, but he's an expiring, so you don't have to worry about paying him past this year. And so I think they're fine. And if he gives them anything, I think that was a worthwhile trade, because Trey Mann is a decent prospect, but he's someone that they're probably, if they keep everyone going into next year, would have to cut some players, and he's probably one that they'd probably consider cutting anyway. So getting off of Bertans for next year and getting a guy who can play when he's healthy and maybe help them as kind of a veteran, I think that's a good move for OKC. They don't have to go up any picks to do so.
Yeah, expiring contract too. It doesn't hurt future flexibility. So I think that is a big thing for them because, with a young team, you got Chet Holmgren on a rookie contract. You got Jalen Williams on a rookie contract. This is kind of an opportunity to strike in free agency potentially, especially after a year where they look like a fun team to play on with how they've been playing this year. So this is a good opportunity for them to get a player that can maybe help them for this upcoming playoff run without giving up too much to get him, and then maintain their flexibility going into next offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it was a big deal for Philadelphia as well.
Yep. And then my favorite trade of today, haven't even mentioned yet. I don't know if it's even finalized yet, but apparently the Dallas Mavericks are getting Daniel Gafford So another big I love to go pair with Lively. Rashawn Holmes is going back to the Wizards. I think Isaiah Livers is in the deal as well. But man, what a great pickup for Dallas. I think him and Lively can play a little bit together. And Gafford's just another one of those guys who's a great finisher around the rim, can kind of pass a little bit. And Dallas is apparently trying to get picks to complete the deal, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But just a great get for assuming it's not a first round pick. If they got Gafford for like seconds and Rashawn Holmes contract, what a great move for them.
Yeah. And then there's a couple others that happened, right?
We have Philadelphia. I think they paid Detroit a second to take Daniel House, which gets them under the luxury tax and gets them to a point where they can sign a buyout player and still stay under the tax, it looks like.
Okay, so that's just a
salary dump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was our trade we missed, chat.
Yeah, I think we've talked about, what, 5? You said there were 6 this morning?
Well, it was, I thought no, there were 6. The 7th was combined into one. It ended up being the Bogdanovic and Burks, but at the time it was announced as 2 different trades. Arcade says, my guess is they're going to try to sign Kyle Lowry, the 76ers. I think that's pretty logical.
Yeah, 3-guard rotation with, you'd have a 4-guard rotation because they value Melton there. I don't know if he falls out of the rotation, but you'd have Melton, Maxey, Lowry, and Hield then. So I don't know. Lowry might be able to find more minutes somewhere else.
Yep. Christopher Aquino says, would you rather have Herb Jones or Trey Murphy? It's kind of a weird question because we're not getting either of them. But me personally, as much as I like both of them, I think Trey Murphy has still potential to be kind of a fringe all-star level player. Herb Jones is elite role player type. So I'd take the upside in the shooting right now with Murphy over Herb Jones, but I think it's pretty close. What would you do?
Murphy or Herb?
Yeah.
I'd do Murphy right now. His shooting is special at his size.
Yeah. Agreed. What will the Raps do? They already did stuff. I don't know how much more they can do.
Yeah. I'm just going to finish kind of putting up a few graphics here. Make sure you hit that subscriber button. We're getting closer than ever to 10,000 subs. We're about 100 away. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us on our chase of 10,000 subs. Really looking forward to hitting that milestone. And then also, once again, shout out BetUS for sponsoring the stream.
That Dame fan says, what do you think the Bucks will do? I think they'll get someone, some sort of defender. I think they should go after like a Chris Dunn or a Dennis Smith Jr. type for cheap. I think both of those guys are underrated defenders. Well, not really underrated, but I think they could help them for what they need defensively. Or even Javon Carter back from the Bulls. Someone like that, I think they should go after that kind of player. But I think they might try to swing a little bigger. But I don't know. To me, I think it'd be a mistake if they traded Bobby Portis.
Yeah, I know some people have complained about the way Bobby Portis plays and how he ends up taking more shots than Dame and this and that. But I mean, he's a skilled player. He's a skilled big man. He's offensive nightmare for a lot of teams coming off the bench against their bench lineup. So I think the Bucks stand pat. I think the Bucks don't do anything, but we'll see.
Blazer 4L says, "You think the Bucks are going to trade for Thibault?" I don't think Thibault would approve a trade. He has a no trade clause, and so I don't think he would approve a trade to the Bucks because he does not like Doc Rivers. I mean, maybe you could convince him, but I don't think it's a good trade partner unless there's a third team, because the whole point of the Blazers trading Thibault would be to get out of future money, and if Connaughton's the contract coming back in that or the main contract, it doesn't really help them save money next offseason. So I think that's probably dead in terms of Thibault unless a third team comes in and offers exactly what Portland needs.
Yeah, it's just the Blazers are likely going to be headed into the offseason projected to be in the luxury tax, and it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver around that. It's going to be interesting to see how they avoid that, or if they get out-leveraged because of that in a trade where they trade Malcolm Brogdon for seconds, or Thibault for nothing. We'll see, but it's headed down that path, and every trade deadline feeds into the offseason. Every offseason feeds into the season, and ultimately the trade deadline. So we'll see what the ramifications are from standing pat at this deadline.
And that's something, if you haven't been watching this for years, we always get down when we see certain things like, for example, Gary Payton II signs for more than the tax mid-level exception. Tori and I instantly realized that that's going to hard cap us and hinder moves for that season in a year where we're allegedly going for it and trying to win with Dame. So like that's the kind of things we think about, is how it impacts our future cap situation and all that kind of stuff with these moves or non-moves. So if we're like disappointed about something that seems like an okay thing or a decent thing, it's probably because it has some sort of future impact, and we like to consider all of those things when we make our decisions about stuff.
Yeah, and it's all about having some sort of plan. And that's really been the critique for the longest time now. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Shout out to Christopher Aguino, $5 donation. His donation says, "I love Cronin." And he says he just wanted me to hear me say that I love Cronin.
Well, thanks.
You can't force that love upon me, okay? I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay. Not okay, man. I'm still waiting for him to win a single trade deadline. This is the good trade deadline number 3. Can he win this trade deadline? He won't. But I expect it now. So that's kind of part of what sucked with the first trade deadline, where he traded Norman Rocco for nothing. Is like we had hope that we would like him and that he would be really good, and then he got nothing back in those trades and kind of squashed our hope.
Yeah. Yep. Snaggy, nothing is confirmed until 3 hours from now. Okay. Yes, if it's confirmed, we're keeping Brogdon. I mean, it's looking very, very likely we're keeping Brogdon, but we still have 3 hours of hope.
Yeah, or 3 hours of, hope might be too strong of a word.
Right.
I don't know what's a
cope,
week.
I guess.
Cope, yeah, 3 hours of cope until it's for sure 100%. That's much better.
Alex Wolf says, "Can Cleveland get Royce?" I don't know. That's someone that they could probably get. Sounds like the Suns are trying to get him as well. Since Alex is in here, I have to say something real quick. Let me grab it.
Oh, boy.
So Alex Wolf has a goal to go to like every arena and watch an NBA game, which is really cool. He just happened to go to a game a couple weeks ago in Milwaukee. The Cleveland Cavaliers playing the Milwaukee Bucks, and it was that Dame watch giveaway, and he sent me the Dame time watch from the game. So I just want to give a huge shout out over the air to Alex Wolf for doing that, man.
Yeah, your guy, Alex Wolf. No longer my guy because he didn't send me one.
He sent you a Jalen Suggs rookie card.
Okay, he's my guy still. He's my guy. I will accept the Jalen Suggs rookie card. Gonzaga legend there. So shout out to Alex. Saving it with the rookie card. I'm tying up a couple of graphics here. That's what sucks about starting early is, man, I don't know how I'm going to get caught up on some of the graphics I planned. I'm going to keep these graphics.
Happening right now, so go.
I know. That's what I'm doing. I mean, honestly, I had a 10-minute intro planned. I was going to start the stream on the intro, go to the gas station, get an energy drink. I will say this is probably the most sleep I've gotten before an NBA trade deadline. I got 3.5 hours of sleep. Let's go. I'm actually, not feeling... I don't know. I actually feel like I'm in reality right now, Eric. Normally, a lot of these streams, these big streams, I'm up all night working on graphics and pulling an all-nighter and being up 24 hours straight and then being on air just feels like a different realm of being. So right now, I feel pretty good. I would love to go get an energy drink. I probably will here soon. But... just the flurry this morning. My goodness, why did everything happen at 8 a.m.? Very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I woke up, took my kids to the bus stop, and it was just nonstop trade flurry.
Yeah, brutal timing.
I was watching Crushable's stream earlier, and he just kept announcing trades. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And unfortunately, I don't have Krish and his help on deadline days anymore, so...
School.
Yeah. Yeah, Krish is busy man now. Very gifted man, but busy. Luckily, he's able to help me with the draft. Just hopefully this year the draft doesn't... The graphics that I gave him to help me with... crashed his computer constantly. It was strange. So we got to figure out a workaround around that this year. But I'm going to style, the big streams, I'm going to style all these graphics like the post game. So that's what I did with kind of that bottom graphic. And then I think I'm going to keep these a couple years. I think I'm at the point where I'm going to keep the graphics packages until the team gets good. There's no point for me to put in 20 hours of work on one single stream if the team isn't good. So I might just roll these back next year. I'm happy enough with them. Chris did help me out with the header, the top part, so shout out to him. And shout out to Connor with a $50 donation. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate you, bro. You're a legend. He says, sorry I can't stick around today, but I hope y'all have a good stream, and I hope chat behaves and keeps the fake Woj bombs to a minimum. Yes, fingers crossed that chat won't be hitting us with fake Woj bombs. But that's why we got the tweets up there. The first trade deadline stream, we didn't have the tweets up, so I was just scrolling on my phone constantly. And basically, it's nothing. It was brutal the first year we did this with the fake Woj bombs because I was trying to scroll through my phone instead of having Twitter up and updating just like it did with Vasile Michik. I don't know how to say his name. Going to the Hornets as part of the Gordon Hayward deal. Anyway, Connor, thank you once again for the $50 donation. Appreciate you, bro.
And that reminds me, thank you, Connor. Please do not post fake Woj trades. It's stupid.
Our mods will ban you to another realm. You'll be the one in a different realm, not me. It'll be you. We don't stand for that. Habib says, let's go. I'm on my 34-hour reset in a Love's truck stop and chilling. Hopefully Portland doesn't chill. Portland is really good at chilling.
Payton's his lamest trade deadline for the NBA in years. I mean, there's been at least 6 trades today, 3 yesterday. I mean, that's 9 trades.
Yeah, we're at a better start to trade deadline day than any other trade deadline stream we've had. So we'll see like how quiet it is later, but there's still some names that can be moved.
And there's teams like the Lakers, the Kings, the Cavs. There's a lot of teams that still probably want to make a move right now. Yeah. Habib, the Brogdon to New York is dead. I mean, who are they trading us now that Fournier is not there? Yeah. How are they going to match salary on that? They're not giving us Mitchell Robinson or anybody. So I think any New York trades are dead right now. Joshua asked, any chance Grant gets moved? I mean, my jaw will hit the floor if we trade Jimmy Grant today. So I would say no. I mean, there's a chance, I guess, but I don't think it's happening. I mean, Buddy Hield's a pretty big name. It doesn't always have to be big names either. I mean, there's not a KD being traded this year, but I mean, it doesn't mean it's the worst ever either.
Yeah.
There's been some trade deadlines. I mean, it's a little different now. The NFL is starting to catch up a little bit with trade deadline stuff, but it used to be there was only a handful of moves in total at the deadline. And there were some years there was only 2 or 3 trades. This was way back in the day. So yeah, it's not that insane. But yeah, we already had Siakam traded this year. So there's an OG. So there's already been a couple of big moves.
What do you think about Thibault in a second to the Jazz for THT? Is that something the Jazz might do?
I'm not giving up a second to get rid of Thibault. I feel like unless we're getting a long-term piece. But yeah, I don't really. I don't know. Let me look up Taylor Horton Tucker's contract.
It's about the same, I believe, like multiple years.
Yeah, he's got, I would say, yeah, so, oh no, he's a free agent after this year.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
How much are you making, though?
He makes $11 million this year, so
yeah,
just about $500,000 more than. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't, once again, I'm not giving up a second in that, but if they traded Thibault for THT, that's the type of trade I'm expecting right now, just to dump salary for next year.
Yeah, but THT is good enough where he's not just like a expiring. Like, I think he has value, so that's something where you would flip him, and I think Utah can actually get back a little bit more value out of him. I think they could probably get back 2 seconds.
But maybe they like Thibault. I don't know.
Maybe they do. I mean, if they're going to trade Thibault, they got to find a team that likes him, but they also got to find a team that Thibault wants to go to. Would he want to go to the Utah Jazz? I feel like he vetoes that trade. That's the thing we have to remember in any Thibault deal is he has a no-trade clause this season. He doesn't have one next year. That's why it's tough to trade him this year, though.
Yeah. Lock Hunter asked, do you guys think DeJounte will be moved today?
I kind of hope so. I would love a little bomb.
Yeah. There's rumors that Atlanta might keep him now, but I think it might. I think it's just posturing as of right now, but
yeah.
Kyle Wilson says, who the F gave Thibault a no-trade clause? No one gave it to him. When you match a contract the first year after matching a contract for a restricted free agent is automatically you're given a veto because they don't want teams matching just to trade that player to somewhere they don't want to go. So for 1 year, you can't go to the team you signed with, and you have a no trade clause. So that's not something that Portland gave him. Josh is going to trade Thibault for 5 seconds or Wiseman. Murray is the new John Collins, says Apple. It will take years to move him. Oh, man, I hope not.
Yeah, at least in the first place, they didn't trade, what was it, 3 unprotected firsts for John Collins? I mean, that trade has been terrible for the Hawks. It's not that DeJounte Murray isn't a good player. It's that he's not worth unprotected picks. And right now, they're a lottery team. I mean, San Antonio is going to absolutely cash in on those. San Antonio is going to be a problem, just like OKC is going to be a problem, because obviously they got Wemby. They got some young pieces there, but they could also have the 1st and 7th picks if they're lucky this year, because they have a Toronto first that's top 6 protected. And right now, Toronto, I believe, is 6th in lottery odds. So if they fall a spot, that pick goes to San Antonio. And then they got all of Atlanta's future first, basically, not all of them, but every other year they get an Atlanta first, and I don't remember if all of them are unprotected, but they're going to cash in on those as well. So they got assets. They're in a really good spot in a rebuild, and that's kind of where I wanted Portland to trade a Jeremy Grant, Malcolm Brogdon to stockpile assets to put themselves in a similar position to truly maximize that window down the line. I didn't want to play this. We're rebuilding, but we're going to keep the veterans, and maybe we can make a play in next year. We're going to be in the middle. Like, I kind of wanted to avoid playing that sort of game, but it seems like that's the game that they want to play.
Yeah. Antonio 503 says, Thibault to Dallas for a pick and Hardy. Dallas cannot trade for Thibault until the middle of July. So anything involving Thibault to Dallas is not even possible.
Yes.
Thibault for AJ Green and a future pick. It doesn't work salary wise. And once again, I don't think Thibault would approve a trade to the Bucks to play under Doc Rivers again. I mean, he might, I guess, but that doesn't. They have to match salary. So. Mm-hmm. And the Mavericks or the Bucks don't really have future picks. They have our 2nd round pick from this year, but other than that, they don't have a lot of draft capital because they gave what little they had up to us. And also, if we trade Thibault to the Bucks, let's just say in theory, and get like Marjan and the 2nd round pick or whatever back, I'm still going to be mad because we basically gave Thibault away for stuff we should have gotten in the Dame trade anyway. So it doesn't seem like a good value to trade him to the Bucks either.
Yeah.
Plus, they don't have an expiring like other teams do. When do they need to be under the cap by? I'm assuming you're talking about the Blazers. This would be, if you're talking about next year, they're under the cap right now, so they're fine this year. Next year, it would just have to be by the last game of the season to be under the cap. But that puts a lot of pressure on the trade deadline if you go into the season over the cap and hope to get under for a team that's probably going to win like 25, 30 games.
I've seen a lot of Bucks fans asking for Wiggins. How you guys think of that? I just think the salary matching pieces they'd have to trade to get him means that they wouldn't be better for trading for him because they'd have to trade Bobby Portis plus Pat Connaughton plus another piece. And is trading Bobby Portis for Andrew Wiggins really going to make much of a difference? Wiggins has struggled this year. I don't know. Maybe both the Warriors and the Bucks just need to reshuffle the chairs on deck, but not sure it does much.
I think Wiggins would be good on the Bucks, and I think Portis would be good on the Warriors. I think it creates problems though, because that puts the Warriors pretty thin at wing, and that makes the Bucks really thin up front at center. So unless there's another move on top of that, it's going to be a tough one for both of those teams to just rearrange deck chairs.
Yep. 9:23 in the morning, Eric. We haven't had a single trade come through while live yet. The only thing that came through was the
details.
But
there's still no word on what the draft compensation is, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the details on that, but
Cronin couldn't get out of his driveway because there's too much ice. It's actually been really nice in Portland. There's no ice.
Yeah, it actually hit like 60 degrees less than a week after it. It was awesome. It was beautiful. Alrighty. I'm sorry, I'm just
Oh no, go ahead.
Cleaning up a couple of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to come down to Embiid's health, but I really like that move for the 76ers. Just getting a shooter that can space the floor, can create a little bit. I'm not really sure why the Pacers would trade him if that's all they could get for him was seconds.
Especially to a team they might have to go up against in the East.
Yeah. And this is...
A lot of these Eastern Conference teams make trades with each other. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like, look at, like, Toronto with New York, Toronto with Indiana. I mean, they're not going to be going against any of these teams, but it seems like a lot of these guys have tended to stay in the East lately.
Yeah, but here's the thing, okay? The Pacers go... And this is something to keep in mind with Portland as well, because Portland has done the same crap. It's the appearance they're making moves to go all in and do what it takes to win, but then on the back end of it, having to make sacrifices that make it harder to win. And when you give a player away, like Buddy Hield, no matter how much it saves you in cap space in the future, it's signifying that they are going to try and still stay somewhat, I don't know, completely under the tax line or just over the tax line, but they're going to have to pay Siakam, and they knew that when they traded for Siakam, and now they're having to give away a good player just because they're not going to be able to pay everyone on their roster. Whereas a winning championship team would acquire Siakam and keep all their guys or make moves to get better elsewhere, not forcing them to have to cut players later. And that's the same thing that Portland's done for years, where we kind of go, like, we make a move to get Jeremy Grant, but then we have to cut salary elsewhere to make sure we can stay under the tax. So
I was gonna say I wish the Blazers were like them in terms of trading for a player of Siakam's caliber, though.
Right, yeah, that's the only difference, is they actually made a play for a really big time player. But yeah, small markets have to be careful, and I worry about that when you're a small market team. We always talk about or get these comments like, well, Portland would never sign anyone in free agency. But in our minds, it's about the assets you get for selling off those players. Like, so that's the difference between selling off a Brogdon and what the Pacers are doing with Hield. They basically didn't get any assets. I mean, 3 seconds, I guess, but they didn't get anything to help them build that contender in the future. Whereas
I don't know, man. Apparently, you can trade 2 seconds for Bogdanovic and Burks, though. So
yeah,
I don't know.
True.
I mean, maybe we should have given Cronin props for getting 5 seconds for GP2 because that's 250% what the Pistons got for both Bogey and Burks, man. Crazy.
Grant Brogdon and Anthony Simons should be traded, says D. Thomas 19.
Why would we trade Simons?
I get so annoyed at that on social media, man. Simons has to go.
Yeah, Simons doesn't have to go. I mean, right now, one person can go. Let's start at 1 before we get to 3. Because right now, I think it's really difficult for Cronin to get to 1 player going out today in a trade. I don't think the Blazers make a single trade deadline deal. Which would be the first in quite a long time. When was the last time they didn't make a single trade deadline deal?
Well, we talked about this last night, but technically in 22 they didn't make a trade on trade deadline day, but they made trades leading up to it. But in terms of the season at all,
like that period of time,
so what, 2021, was that the Norm trade, or am I a year off?
2021 was something.
We traded for Norm.
Yeah.
And then
that was a Norm trade, yes.
In 2020.
2022 was then when we traded Norm out, and then last year was last year, yeah.
2020, we traded Scal for cash and
I was watching
top 55 protected second.
I was watching that stream over. It was pretty funny.
And we made a trade back in January that year. That was the Ariza Scal trade.
Yeah.
And then 2019 was Hood. I think we pretty much made a move every year.
What was 2018?
That was the Pelicans year. We lost the Pelicans in the playoff. Did we make a move that year? I don't know if we made it.
We might not have. That might be the last time we haven't made a trade deadline deal.
Yeah.
Christopher says now they saying 76ers looking at Brogdon. Who's saying that?
I mean, they still have Rocco's contract. They still have some other stuff.
They can still definitely trade for Brogdon. The question is, do they want to?
Yeah.
Do they want to tie up money going into this offseason when they prefer cap space and they already got a guard?
They got Maxey and Hield. They still... Who's their... why am I blanking on his name? Who's their other guard they have?
Milton. Yeah, D'Anthony Melton.
Yeah, Melton, and so I mean Brogdon, Melton's hurt, but so is Embiid. I don't know. I think they need some front court help right now, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. They got Paul Reed starting.
Maybe they want to take some pressure off Maxey. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you can still get a first from them for Brogdon, I think you got to take it. They have Rocco's expiring. Could get Rocco back. They have Batum's expiring.
Just bring back those two guys, and they can be our veteran mentors. For our forwards, though, not our guards. But I don't want Rocco mentoring a single guard that we have. It sounds horrifying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that. No teams want to give up a first this deadline, except for the Toronto Raptors just gave up a first for Olynyk. And
yeah, that was wild. Still don't know the compensation that Dallas is giving Washington. I assume it's in the way of seconds. I don't think they're trading a first for Gafford.
Well, they can only currently trade one first, so unless they're trading someone else to get a first, I don't think that's happening. Still a first, though, Aramancer. For worse players than Brogdon.
Mm-hmm. Blazers standing pat again. What's up, Dwayne Colvin? Good to see you. Most likely.
Tori, it's driving me crazy, man. Because
what specifically? Because there's multiple things that could be driving you crazy.
All right. We hear both of these things. One, no team's giving up a first right now, right?
Yeah.
But then we also hear this draft is trash. First round picks are worthless. If those are both true,
they don't really add up together.
How come teams aren't giving up first then for players, and why aren't they willing to give up first for Hield or Hayward or what? Like I just don't understand Gafford. Like why aren't teams getting first? Bogdanovic, Burks.
Yeah.
The Knicks have 2 non-lottery picks in this draft, and they didn't have to give up a first in a crappy draft. It makes no sense. So it's conflicting in my mind. You can't say, oh, firsts are really valuable in the new CBA, and all this stuff, and then trash the value of a first in a trade for Brogdon or whatever. Like you can't have it both ways. So it's driving me crazy when I see people who say both sides. If you want to say one side or the other, fine, but like don't be that person that says both of those things.
Yeah, because it's a bit contradictory. Because
other people are saying like, oh, if you get a 2024 first, that's horrible value for Brogdon. But yet these same people are like, no team's giving up a 2024 first for Brogdon. Okay, well, fine.
Yeah, it does not add up. Does not add up at all. Anyway. I just don't see how you can play both sides of that fence. Like, if you want to say one thing or the other, fine. Regardless of if I agree or not. Playing both sides of the fence is too contradictory. It doesn't, like, logically, it doesn't add up. TC Sports Legend said, people are saying this year's prospect sucks, so is a 2025 first more valuable? Across the league, that's, this draft is a down year, but I also think it's more bad in the top 10 than it is later on in the first round, just based on the prospects that I've looked at. And, in that case, why aren't teams willing to give up first this year then, apparently? It doesn't really make sense to me.
I think that tells you that that's not what actual front offices are thinking about this draft. I think they think there's not necessarily high-end star players, but there are from anywhere from the first after the first couple picks to like the end of the first round. I think there's a lot of players that could be similarly rated on boards, and you could get a player that you think might be your 8th best player on the board at 20 because other teams value other players or rate other players differently. So I think people are thinking that mid to late first could still get something. And even if you talk about like future first versus a first this year, that's fine if you believe that a future first is more valuable than a first this year. That's completely reasonable. I mean, I would prefer a future first than a first this year, but I still don't think that means that no team's going to give up a first this year and that a first this year is bad value.
Agreed.
And if Wemby was in this draft, but every other player sucked, people would be talking about this draft being awesome. It's just like when there's a big name at the top, it's just so much different. Drafts that do not have a clear-cut number one are always thought of as weaker. Like you talked about the 2013 draft last night.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a future first ballot Hall of Famer in that draft outside of the lottery.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you can still find diamonds in the rough, and that's what separates the great front offices from the bad ones. And that's what literally turned around Milwaukee. They were an awful organization before they got Giannis. Now, they've won a championship. They're contenders every year. So making the right pick in a weak draft like that and getting a guy like that can completely turn around the direction of your franchise. And that's what, Portland needs to do on maybe a lesser scale. They got some talent, right? And obviously it's really hard to draft somebody of Giannis's caliber outside of the lottery. It's really hard to identify that guy. If it was that easy, then he would go number one because the number one team would identify that guy. But that's where your scouting department has to shine through with the picks that you have. And teams with better scouting departments, first-round picks, should be more valuable to them than teams with worse. Right? Because you're more likely to execute on that first-round pick. Or that second-round pick, even.
Yep.
Alright. In a second, I'm going to go to the gas station. I need an energy drink.
Alright.
And all that good stuff. But I forgot to set tags up for the stream, so let me do that real quick.
All right. Just trying to get some update. We need some updates.
Yeah.
Come on, Shams and Woj. It's their fault.
Kyle Wilson says Blazers will trade Grant, Ayton, and Brogdon as soon as Torrey leaves. Oh, then I should have left earlier. No, I'll make sure to leave for a good 5 minutes or so, and hopefully make that happen.
Do you think Cronin is like furiously working the phones right now, or is just chilling?
Oh, he's definitely chilling.
Yeah.
He's definitely chilling. He's probably chilling more than we are on the stream. We're probably putting in more work right now than he is. Just running the stream.
Yeah.
Like, at least just give us something to laugh in misery about like last year. Because last year was just funny, Eric. The Kevin Knox.
Yeah, right.
Chat, do you guys remember last year? The whole
me slamming my headphones down.
The whole Kevin Knox thing.
You saying Kevin Knox, and then we trading for Kevin Knox.
Yeah.
Say a random name right now, Tori. Before you leave.
Freaking Furkan Korkmaz is gonna get flipped our way from
Indiana.
Indiana, yeah.
Wait,
Thibault. Wait. There it is, Eric. Because they're far enough below the tax, right? That would Furkan match? He's making like 5.5. It's 200% now for that lower echelon until it reaches 7.5. Furkan for Thibault. That's the type of team that I could see trading for Thibault too, just to have a defensive piece. We're getting Furkan freaking Korkmaz. There it is. If it happens, I'm retiring.
What if we have that trade all lined up, and then Thibault says no? Finally, a trade. A Raps
Dennis Schroder
trade.
to the Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie. Why? Why? That's one of the most pointless player
it-
swaps I've ever seen, Eric.
Doesn't hmm, uh, there has to be another contract involved, I think.
They're well, are the Raptors in the tax or not?
I think Schroder only makes like what, 9 or 10 million?
No, he makes
Oh, 12.
12.5 ish. So
Okay.
add 7.5, that's like 20. So it's probably
Mm,
a small contract because of 7.5 mil under the
yeah.
new CBA.
The Raptors just wanted to get out of Schroder because Schroder signed, was it a 2 or 3 year deal?
Yeah.
And
I mean, why do that if you're the Nets, though? Unless you're getting
I
back.
think they're sick of Dinwiddie, I think, but maybe there's a pick or something
I feel like
involved.
a lot of teams get sick of Dinwiddie, though.
I think he wanted out.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, assuming they don't take a bigger contract back, they save some money, I guess. Save some tax.
Yeah. Interesting trade. He publicly quit on them, though. Yeah, Dinwiddie, interesting guy. Very interesting guy.
But that kind of takes them out of the DeJounte Murray thing, then, right? I mean, I guess they could still technically match salary, but you would think they would have saved Dinwiddie's contract till the last minute to maybe if they were going to make a big trade.
Yeah. I just feel like DeJounte Murray is more likely to stay put because these other teams aren't trying for him. They got other guards.
Yeah, well, apparently the Pelicans and Hawks were close on a deal and fell through at the last minute. But I think it still might be the Lakers is the only team that might.
Yeah, I mean, I could also see the Pelicans and Hawks renegotiating their way into a deal on that as well.
True.
That is also possible. And with that said, I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
All right, man.
We'll see
Have
if
fun.
my absence causes anything to change in the universe.
Yeah, the Pelicans were apparently trying to get a Kongwu from the Hawks as well. Um, and so I think that would have been a great trade for them, getting both a Kongwu and DeJounte. But yeah, obviously that didn't work out. But the Pelicans looks like they're trying to do some things. They want to add another guard to help CJ out in the backcourt. And it looks like they are trying to solidify their center rotation for the future because Valanciunas is an unrestricted free agent. So they could lose him. D. Thomas says Pelicans could trade for Brogdon. I don't know because they need a center. If Robert Williams was healthy, I could maybe see that being the move. But unfortunately, I think they're not a team that can trade for an injured player right now. So, and I don't know what they're giving up to get Brogdon. I don't know if the contracts really work out. Nick Thompson says Blazers want Grant Williams. I hope not. Because we can't trade Thibault there. They're the Mavs aren't going to watch or want Robert Williams because of what I said. They're trying to do something now. But the Thibault can't get traded there, and then Brogdon. I mean, I don't know how to. I guess they could maybe make a Brogdon trade work, but I don't see them giving up a ton. But I don't understand. I mean, maybe if we traded Jeremy Grant to them, but I don't know. I mean, if we could get Herb Jones from them, man, yeah, I would take it. Um, on the Bucks position, what would you do? I already mentioned this earlier. I would go after like a Chris Dunn or a Dennis Smith Jr. Um, Dennis Smith Jr. Never mind, is on the way to the Raptors. Thad Young to the Nets. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, maybe they could still get. Um, yeah, if you get DeLon Wright for Pat Connaughton, I would do that. Um, I would look at the Raptors right now and offer them. Uh, I would offer them an expiring contract and a second round pick or something for Dennis Smith Jr. I would try to get Javon Carter from Chicago. I would go for like just a low end defensive point guard like that. But yeah, I think if the Bucks end up with Dennis Smith Jr., I think that's a really good move for them, and they could easily match his salary without giving up a ton. Pat has been such a disappointment. Yeah, he's having a down year, and his contract now looks like a negative. So that's the unfortunate part about dealing with them. Carter Dick, $5 donation. I know this isn't the case, but would you take seconds for Brogdon at this sound if it was all that was available? I probably would not take just seconds if that was the final offer. Um, yeah, I don't think I would take just seconds. Maybe if you got a bunch of them and they were for future years, not 2024. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It depends on how if there was a young player like Grimes, for example, that we talked about earlier. If we would have gotten him, I would have been much more inclined to take seconds. But no young player, and I don't know if I would take back seconds. But yeah, I agree with you, DJ Vega, that I don't think his value is getting better after this year. Man, I don't know if the Pistons are done, but they're so weird, man. I want so badly for the Blazers to take advantage of a team that gets desperate here in the next 2 hours. Whether that's the Kings or the Lakers or the Pistons or someone, I want something to happen. All right, so Dennis Smith Jr. is not in the trade. I don't think it's Eric Olson says how many seconds equal a first. I don't think any amount of seconds equal a first. And maybe you could say, well, if you get a bunch of seconds that like if the Blazers traded the 28th pick for the 34th and 39th, which they currently have, that might be one thing. But yeah. But I don't like saying, oh, well, 5 seconds equals a first or something. I don't think it ever does. Otherwise, you would have gotten a first. I always prefer first, especially when we have a fair amount of seconds already. If we don't trade Brogdon, I will give up watching sports, says Oscar. Man, that's looking like it's going to happen, so I don't want you to give up watching sports, Oscar. As long as you still watch us, I guess. Does that count as giving up on sports? Because Oscar, you're the man, dude. I don't want you to leave. Elias, $2 donations is how many Erics equal a second? Infinite Erics equal no seconds because I'm not worth anything. Sorry. But I appreciate the donation, Elias. How you doing, man? It's been a while. You can now like donations too. So everyone go and give the people who are donating and supporting the channel a like for their comment. What's up, Sam Dooley? He says, my body is ready for disappointment. Alex Crawford says, in the offseason, would you do Anthony for Lauri Markkanen plus the Golden State Warrior pick as basic framework? I don't know, man. I like Markkanen a lot. I'm going to have to pay him. I also like Anthony a lot. I mean, I understand that makes sense. But I don't know. I think Markkanen's age, I mean, he's still young enough for a rebuild. But I would say just keep drafting players and hope you find a player better than Lauri in the draft or whatever. But I mean, I understand people like Lauri would want to do that. I just think you're kind of limiting once again how high your rebuild could go. 2 more hours, 2 hours and 6 minutes till the deadline. Davis Johnson says, I know it's early, but as of right now, who's your favorite prospect for the Blazers to draft at 5? My guy is Tajon Salon. I have him as second on my big board. I think he could end up being the best player in this draft. So I would absolutely take Tajon if he's there, if we don't move up to 1. If we're number 1, I'm taking Salon. Not Salon, Alex Sarr. I think his defensive ability as a 7-footer is a game changer to any kind of defense. You can scheme so many things around a big that has those defensive talents. And so I would take Alex Sarr 1. Any other pick in that range, in my mind, I'm taking Tajon. And I don't know if he's coming out in this draft, but I really like Ulrich Chomsky as well. And I think he's like a sleeper that we might be able to get with the Golden State pick if he comes out in the draft. He might go to college next year, so it's not for sure yet or anything. But those are the 2 guys I really like. I also like Cody Williams. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good players that would help the Blazers in that range. All right, so it looks like the final trade is just Thad Young and Dennis Schroder for Spencer Dinwiddie. What's up, Garrett? Alex says we're trying to be the Rockets apparently and not the Thunder, so I think this is a way Joe could do that. That would still balance out the roster. I think it's good value for both. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see the Jazz doing that, but in my opinion, that's the wrong way. So if you're asking me what to do, if I could see the Blazers trying to do some sort of move like that, maybe. But for me, I'm not trying to be the Rockets if I'm in charge of the Blazers and the rebuild and all that. I'm trying to continue rebuilding no matter how much that sucks. Because here's the deal. You can't start a rebuild, trade your franchise player, and then less than a year later be like, oh, well, it's not good for us business-wise to rebuild, so we're going to just go back into wanting to win now and stuff like that. And so no matter how much they thought they were going to win this year, it's just stupid to change your plan already. If you had a plan, you need to stick with it, in my opinion. And to do stuff that would make us slightly better next year so we can sell a few more tickets, to me, is just, that would be devastating to the long-term ceiling of this kind of rebuild.
Yep. What's up, Arcades? What I get to drink? Somebody earlier said I need an energy drink sponsor. I would take any energy drink sponsor, and I will drink the hell out of that energy drink. By the way, the Detroit Pistons are waiving Joe Harris. sources tell The Athletic.
They had to cut someone, but that makes them pretty much out on trading for any big contract because that was a big expiring.
Yeah. I'm just surprised how active the Raptors have been this deadline, of course, like after trading their big two names.
Mm-hmm.
They've been busy.
I like it, though. I mean, I don't necessarily like the moves they're making, but I like that they're active. Are we gonna sign Joe Harris off the buyout market?
Yeah, we need shooting. I mean, if they traded Thibault for something and then signed Joe Harris, what am I saying? I was gonna say I couldn't be too mad, but what are we doing?
Well, yeah, why would we sign Joe Harris?
Because we need spacing for Scoot to develop. We need the vet mentor, okay? We need Brogdon to hold his hand throughout his entire career. But Brogdon has to play 35 minutes to do so, right? Like, Brogdon couldn't coach or anything. Like, Brogdon has to play 35 minutes to show Scoot the ropes for his entire career. And then you got to get Joe Harris to be that vet mentor to teach him how to shoot and then also space the floor for him. There's levels to this, Eric. Multiple levels here of genius. Of Joe Cronin genius. So yeah, that's the plan. And then Thibault goes somewhere else. And we save money. And that's where Jody Allen's a genius. So what was this final Nets trade?
So far, it looks like it's just Thad Young and Dennis Schroder for Spencer Dinwiddie. I haven't seen any indication there's anything else involved, whether that be picks or whatever. You guys think there's any first-round value Keon Johnson types out there we could trade Brog for? Well, I think Grimes was one of those guys, but
yeah,
that's too late.
Yeah, missed the boat on Quentin first-round value Grimes. Although Quentin Grimes is actually a solid player, where Keon Johnson was a nobody, so it's not really a player.
Oh yeah, I just meant someone who's like being undervalued on the team they're on. Jaden Springer had a pretty good game last night. I don't know. Yeah.
You know who the first... Man, it's sad how we were having debates on should the Blazers trade Jeremy Grant to Golden State for Kuminga, and thinking about is Kuminga available, right? Maybe they want Brogdon even for Kuminga, and then that dude just absolutely broke out. I mean, that's the type of players you got to get before they break out. Unfortunately, He broke out in Golden State because he's looked like a freaking star lately. Kuminga's been insane. Just go look at his game log, his last 7 to 10 games or so. He's been phenomenal. Yeah. Of course, it could just be a flash in the pan, but he has talent. He's still very young on a per-minute basis. He was scoring 20 points per 36, doing it somewhat efficiently, has athleticism. That dude can play. That dude can ball. That's the type of guy in a rebuild you try and get on a discount, and then if he breaks out, you traded Malcolm Brogdon for a future star forward, maybe, if you're lucky. So that's where you maximize value for a rebuild by taking a chance on prospects of that caliber. But unfortunately, I don't think he was ever available. I'm not saying the Blazers should have done him or this or that, because I don't think he was ever available.
Tommy says Zaire Williams might be available right now.
Zaire Williams. Yeah, I mean, that's a guy I liked in that draft. I wouldn't hate taking a chance on him. He's just gotten an opportunity and hasn't really done a whole lot with it. So I don't know if he needs a change of scenery, but Kuminga produced much more than Zaire Williams is kind of the thing, but he didn't play enough to look like a star. And now that he started playing enough, he looks like a star. That's why I like looking at, guys that play 18 minutes a game, but per 36, they're scoring 20 somewhat efficiently at 21 years of age. Because then it just becomes, okay, well, maybe if we give him 36 minutes, maybe he's giving us 20 a game or more. And that's what's happened with Kuminga.
Mm-hmm. A good one, finally.
A good what?
I don't know. Trade. Mavs.
Oh, Mavs did something? PJ Washington is going to the Mavs for a package around Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first-round pick, Eric.
They're getting that 2027 pick. That means... So I got PJ and Gafford, dude. Mavs are...
You know what was funny is their like power forward center combo was so weak a year ago. And in the last year, they've gotten Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford.
Yeah. That means they definitely didn't give up a first for Gafford, too.
Yeah, no, they ain't no way.
But we'll see the protections. It could be like I have a lottery protector that turns into second.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait to see before I did it. But there we go. PJ Washington was traded for a first. So all you people saying no one's trading first this year, PJ Washington just got traded for a first. So
yeah, is PJ Washington better than Malcolm Brogdon? That is my question. Of course,
I think
teams may
really good fit for the Mavs, dude.
Yeah, certain teams may want a front court player instead. So I'm not saying the Mavs would have traded a first for Brogdon, but I mean players of PJ Washington's caliber are better fetch first. Except if you're Detroit. If you're Detroit, then I don't know what the hell you're doing. If you're Detroit, then you could have fetched 2 first and then only fetched 2 seconds. Hopefully, we're not going down the Detroit path with Malcolm Brogdon.
I think PJ is only better in the sense that he plays a position that has less good players available at it. But in terms of just pure players, I think Brogdon's better.
So is Dennis Smith included in that trade or not?
Apparently not.
Weird. But that's a huge trade. So you start PJ Washington at the 4 next to Lively. Is that the plan? I mean,
Gafford off the bench.
Yeah, because I mean you can't really play PJ Washington at center and give those 2 minutes, I guess. So you're playing PJ Washington at the 4 next to Lively. That's interesting.
Yep. I think, and PJ just signed a deal, right? Was it a 4-year deal in the offseason?
Yeah.
What's he making per year? I forgot what his contract
I think it's like $15 million if I recall correctly.
15 or 16. Sure, yeah. I'll look it up real quick. But yeah, that's someone you got locked in. 3-year deal, 16.8 this year, and then it actually is a declining contract. So decent contract for PJ. And the thing people don't realize about PJ is he's turned himself into a really good switchable defender over the last couple of years. And he gets through screens well. He can stay in front of guards. And that's going to be huge for the playoffs for them with Kyrie and Luka involved in a lot of pick and rolls. And so I think... it's a lot to give up, but that was basically all they had asset-wise. So you got to give up something to get it. And if you got both Gafford and PJ Washington now, like you mentioned, a position that they were very weak at, they played Dwight Powell a lot. And so now they have one of the best 3-man rotations for bigs out there.
And the pick they're giving up to Charlotte, according to Woj, is lightly protected. So that probably means top 5, maybe?
Yep, and then, it probably turns into seconds because they can't let it go another year out.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Spencer Dinwiddie apparently did not request a trade from Brooklyn. But apparently his exit was welcomed by both sides.
Yeah. It's only top 2 protected. Holy crap.
Wow.
That's interesting. Why top 2? That seems so weird.
Yeah. Very strange, yeah.
A lot of picks end up being top 4 protected, but top 2 is interesting. Yeah. I like that for the Hornets too. I mean, why, if you can get that kind of pick back for one of your players, you do it, right?
Yeah, PJ Washington fetching a pick with those protections is kind of wild. I still expect Dallas to be good then. I still expect them to have Luka, but pretty crazy to get protections that light for a role player.
Yeah, I wonder how much we could get for Jeremy if we were truly trading him.
Oh, man. If PJ Washington can fetch that, then I think we could probably get back more. I mean, we could have maybe gotten back an unprotected first, plus.
Well, definitely that pick unprotected. So that obviously we said that wasn't enough if they called us, but
yeah. Man, if I see Portland or Blazers pop across one of these tweets, I'm gonna be shocked, and then probably shook.
Dallas is getting 2 seconds back in the deal, so I guess somewhat compensated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Grant is different than Brogdon, in my opinion. There are teams that I think might value him more in the offseason. So I don't necessarily think it's terrible to wait for him, assuming he doesn't get hurt or something, knock on wood. So yeah, I don't mind if they keep Grant to trade him, but my problem is I don't think they want to trade Grant at all. I think they're going to keep him. But like the 76ers, for example, if they don't sign a big free agent and have all this cap space and have to use it, maybe they give up some of those picks to get Grant, because I think he's a good fit next to Embiid.
Yeah, that could be where it makes sense to wait on Grant.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of Dallas, in my opinion, also made more sense to wait on Grant. Now that's out of the realm of possibility. But if you waited until after the 2024 draft with them, assuming their pick conveyed this year to New York, then they could trade 2025, 2027, and 2031. Now they can't trade 2027, obviously, but after the draft, they could still give up a 2025 first and a 2031 first. So maybe that's still a possibility, but now they have PJ Washington long term. I doubt that's going to happen. So
Mark Stein said Dallas is getting OKC's second worst 2024 first round pick to send to Washington for Gafford. How are they getting that pick though? Are they looping in this Charlotte deal with the Charlotte OKC Hayward trade with the Gafford trade, and it's just a big 4-teamer like that we haven't heard as a 4-teamer? I don't know how they get that pick otherwise. I have a weird feeling we might sign Joe Harris. I think Joe Harris will go to a playoff team. I mean, he fills a shooting role. I don't think he's coming to Portland. But I could see that being like Cronin feels like he needs to do something at the deadline, and that's his solution to inactivity is we weren't inactive. We signed Joe Harris. He's also from the Pacific Northwest, by the way, so.
No way, Shady Squid. Apparently, Miles Bridges, too, last night told the Hornets he would veto any trade because he also has a veto because he's on a 1-year qualifying offer.
He really wants to stay there. That's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, the Hornets did take him back after everything that happened, so.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try and get the countdown on here after I
All
finish
right.
this graphic.
Shaggy Squid, you said something earlier too that I thought was good. Can you? Oh, I just found it. Never mind. It was at the very top of my screen. OG, Bogdan, and Burks without giving up any first, but the Blazers didn't have assets to get Dame help.
Yeah. Yeah, brutal, man. Brutal. Very brutal.
That dang Olshey, man.
That's the thing going through when I compiled those highlights. I stayed up like an hour and a half extra, not even going to play them because we had to start the stream immediately instead of doing a little intro, thinking it was going to be dead this morning. But I watched back a few of the trade deadline streams, and I was laughing at our anger in 2020, especially at our inactivity and Olshey being completely incapable of doing anything.
Yeah. Well, was that the Whiteside?
Royce O'Neal to Phoenix, 3 second-round picks, and probably Nasir Little to Brooklyn.
Nasir gets to play with McHale.
Nice. Good for him. Good for him. Interesting. Okay, what do you think of this trade for Phoenix? Well, I guess let's see and make sure it's Nasir. But I think it has to be Nasir as the salary matching piece there.
Yeah. In my mind, I think if you're just looking at this trade, it's fine. I think Royce O'Neal is a good fit, but I still think they need a better backup center and a better backup point guard to help take some of the facilitation needs off of their stars. And so I think they just used what little assets they had on another wing that doesn't help solve two of their biggest problems. So I like the trade itself, but I don't like that they didn't address two of their biggest needs.
Yeah. Was there a trade out there available to address their needs? I mean, they could have maybe gotten Monte Morris and gotten their point guard that would have been steady for them offensively, although he's not really much of a defensive player. It was going to be hard for them regardless, so I think Royce O'Neal kind of fits that Torrey Craig mold.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yep. I don't know. I thought they should have gone after someone like Drummond, maybe, or I already mentioned him, but Javon Carter, Dennis Smith Jr. from that same team.
Yeah.
I would have tried to get one of those guys.
I'm going to call Gabe. Maybe not on air because he will probably let like 5 expletives fly in either excitement or disappointment, not sure which. So I'll be back. I'm gonna call this man, see if he knows yet.
Alex asks, when is the deadline? Like the time? It's in an hour and 44 minutes at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. So we got a little less than 2 hours. Crossio Logic says Brogdon to the Wolves for Nas Reed. That would be an incredible trade.
This man is asleep.
He's not streaming?
Nah. No. Sundo was working and yeah. Gabe has an important meeting later today. I'm not going to leak what it is, but he is Hollywood now. Let's just say that.
Nice. Yeah, how can he be asleep during the deadline, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Andy's 2 hours ahead of us, so less than an excuse.
Yeah, I think he really wanted Miles Bridges, but I
talked to him like off air and stuff. Like he wasn't thrilled with the idea of Miles Bridges.
So yeah, I would be so torn as a Suns fan because I think Miles Bridges could possibly put them over the top basketball wise, but I wouldn't want him on my team, you know?
Yeah. He also doesn't solve any other issues really though, right? Like
Yeah, kind of like what I was just saying, yeah.
So do we have any news on what the Suns are sending out yet?
Someone said it.
Does Flex know?
The thing is, Sham says for salaries, so they're assuming it's Nas and someone else. Maybe a Kogi, maybe Roddy to the Suns? David Roddy to the Suns too? What?
That's very random.
That doesn't make sense.
Gabe's gonna love David Roddy, bro.
Wait, what? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Are they just trying to get every Torrey Craig like replacement instead of addressing their actual needs?
How do they get David Roddy in this trade? For a pick swap is part of a three-way. A second round pick swap? That's just confusing. I don't understand what this trade is at all. You know what? I'm gonna... Yeah.
Roddy and Royce O'Neal? I mean, that helps their wing rotation, but I still feel like their biggest needs are... Memphis making moves, man. I wonder... The Suns still have some first swaps they could do. What if they got a first swap for Roddy? With Vince Williams' emergence, I think it made Roddy maybe.
You know what? They really missed. They missed Ish Wainwright. So they went out and they got a better football-looking version of Ish Wainwright in David Roddy. The only dude whose thickness can rival Ish Wainwright. Suns fans are celebrating. They're saying it's ring season because they got Royce O'Neal. Gabe says, I just woke up. LOL, I knew better than to pick up. I muted my mic because I knew you would probably maybe let some words fly on this family-friendly, PG-rated stream that wouldn't fly with our audience, you know, because we are... fine people over here, so yeah.
Suns pick up O'Neal and Roddy for their postseason rotation, says Shams.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys really want to be playing David Roddy heavy minutes in the postseason. And I was a David Roddy fan when he came out of the draft, but Roddy is just so random. Jaden, I could absolutely see that.
Yeah, if the Blazers don't make a move, they have to sign someone within the next few days to that 14th roster spot. So, yeah, they have to do something soon. So if they don't make a move today or do a one-for-one trade or something, they still have to sign someone. So I would look for that to be getting promoted to the actual roster. Look for it to be like a guaranteed for the rest of the season contract, and then one that is like non-guaranteed for the next 2 or 3 years each offseason, so they could possibly let him go each of the next 2 or 3 off seasons if they want to.
Yeah, I just want to see what Phoenix is giving up here because it's Nasir Little and then another salary piece. Haven't seen Nasir Little yet, but it's going to be Nasir Little. Only way it makes sense. And then Damian Lee, if I had to guess, and that's what, 8.2, 8.5 mil? They still got to trade out another salary, right, Eric? Because they are above the luxury tax. They're like right up against the super tax.
Yeah, I think there has to be someone else.
Metu?
Bol.
Bol. Suns fans might have a meltdown if they trade Bol. They love themselves some Bol. So I'm just fascinated to see what the salary matching is. Nas and Saban Lee. Isn't Saban Lee on a two-way? But that's still not enough.
Eubanks. That'd be funny if they traded
Nas and
Eubanks
Eubanks.
after the tampering.
Yeah. They lost a second because they tampered for Eubanks. So. Is Eubanks worth a second to another team? I don't know. But I'm really curious to see what little salary chips they toss in as part of this deal. Chat, if you find out before the tweets update, let us know.
Jay Ritz asked, will there be a press conference after the deadline if no moves are made? That's a good question.
I don't know how that works. Yeah.
I don't know. I know a couple years Olshey just had like an interview with like one of the media members or Brooke or something. So maybe it's just that if there's no thing. But yeah, if he doesn't make a move, I'd be surprised if he got up on the mic, although he's just going to get a bunch of softball questions. So maybe he does anyway.
Yeah, he wouldn't be scared.
Blazers trade a second for Eubanks. That'd be funny. Yeah.
I can't even finish this graphic because I don't know the details.
Christopher asks, who would you rather have, Cronin or Olshey?
They're the same picture. You know the Office meme? They're the same freaking picture.
Well,
this is probably exactly how Olshey would have handled it. Although I think he would have... I don't know. He never really did make a big trade for Dame. So maybe last offseason goes down exactly the same way too. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Cronin, if he was harassing or abusing his power, obviously you don't want him back. But
Olshey, you mean?
Yeah, Olshey. Sorry, did I say Cronin?
Yeah, how dare you put that on Cronin?
Olshey did not have the greatest reputation, but I don't. Yeah, we probably still have CJ on our roster, like Shane Squid says. But yeah, I don't know. I think Olshey at least made some moves that made sense. Kind of, I don't know. Are you muted?
Yep.
I mean, we did make the playoffs for 8 straight years under Olshey. I don't know.
No, this is going to be a very boring deadline.
Who is David Roddy? He was a draft pick 2 years ago.
Colorado State legend, David Roddy. Respect him. Looks like a football player.
D. Thomas says we should trade for Jordan Poole. No.
Yeah, no thank you. I would throw up.
Thomas Rancy says Roddy is a poor man's Dylan Jones. It's good. It's probably a good one.
And of course, I like both of them in the draft, so...
King Sam says they said they don't know who to trade for because there isn't anyone to build around yet. Thoughts? Who's they? Are you talking about the Blazers?
Yeah, I don't know.
When did the Blazers say that?
Shim said Phoenix has 2 roster spots open to pursue additions on the buyout market, so that means they traded 4 players?
Noah Hood, That is not acceptable, Noah. Please don't ever do that again, or you are banned. And once again, please do not put fake trades in the chat. It's stupid. It's not funny. And yeah, we're just going to ban you.
You thanked Elias's donation, right? That was when I was gone.
Yeah.
How many Eric's equal a second? It has 16 likes. That's funny. That's funny, man. I'm a Mavs fan. How do you feel about our trades? I mean, you guys got noticeably better. Gafford's a really good backup to have behind Lively. And then PJ Washington slots in, will space the floor for Luka, can switch, can defend multiple positions. Really good pickup there. You guys have done a really good job building out your front court, your power forward and center position over the last year by getting Lively, Gafford, and Washington. So I would feel pretty good if I was a Mavs fan. That pick is very lightly protected, which is a little surprising. I thought the protections would be a little heavier for a PJ Washington trade, but you guys should still have Luka then, and if you don't have Luka, then you'll have bigger issues anyway. So if you still have Luka, that pick is not going to be close to the top two, in my opinion. So I really like that trade for Dallas, and I like what they've done over the past year.
Yeah, I think, I mean, they obviously had to give up a little bit more than they probably wanted to, but I think if you're going for it and you're trying to win, I think you gotta make little sacrifices like that. Even Cronin said that, right? Last heading into the offseason, he said sometimes you have to make a trade to go for it. It's going to hurt a little bit, but it's necessary. But yeah, I think they're making moves that make sense, and that's all you can ask for.
Yep. Yeah, they've done a really good job with limited assets building out that roster. Good front offices find a way.
Yeah.
And they've found a way.
I still don't think, like I mentioned earlier, the Mavs made a lot more sense for Jeremy if it was the offseason and they could free up salary. Now it's pretty much off the table, but I just felt like one first, even if it was unprotected, and like Jaden Hardy and those kind of players wasn't enough for Grant to be moved in my mind. So I agree with not taking that offer. It kind of sucks though that now that offer is completely done.
Yep.
Shane Smith says it's going to hit like a truck when Jody gives Cronin an extension. Yeah, that's going to be funny. Also, is that going to be before or after he gives Brogdon an extension?
Good question.
Bucks Jake Fisher, says Peter Snegariff.
Huh?
I don't know.
The Bucks did something.
I don't know.
Jake Fisher isn't.
Sneggy is.
Oh no! Sneggy's ahead of the curve. Jake Fisher Bucks tweet. Yeah, there you go. They're searching for perimeter defense. 2 more names under consideration for them. Chris Dunn and Najee Marshall. Man, they're desperate. Although I like Najee Marshall.
Didn't I say Chris Dunn earlier?
Yeah. I think so.
You could say, Snaggy, you could say Jake Fisher new tweet about the Bucks or something. Not Bucks Jake Fisher.
Hey, that was efficient, man. He's all about efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah, Najee Marshall wouldn't be a bad pickup. I don't know why they didn't get Tillman before the Celtics did. That would have been a good pickup too.
Bucks point guard Jake Fisher. Okay, while we wait on the details to come through for this Suns trade, make sure you subscribe. We are currently 105 subscribers away from 10K. That number at the bottom of the ticker only updates by tens. But we are grinding towards 10K, which will be an awesome milestone to hit. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. We will have streams like this for the draft, which is a lot of fun. The draft is fun because you know stuff's going to happen. That's my favorite stream. But then free agency is also very wild as well. We got Twitter feeds for free agency, graphics package, all that stuff. So even if you're not a Blazer fan, of course we cover the Blazers, but even if you're not a Blazer fan, it still makes sense to subscribe. We got lots of videos coming over the offseason just about NBA targets and trades and that sort of thing. So
The draft will be huge for the Blazers.
Yeah. We'll also have a draft lottery stream, which was a lot of fun last season. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. So BetUS is offering an amazing new promotion where they will give you 125% bonuses on not just your first deposit, not just 2 deposits. They'll give a 125% bonus on 3 deposits if you use the promo code JOIN125. That's JOIN125, no spaces. And make sure you sign up for BetUS using our link at the top of the description box below. With the Super Bowl coming up, me and Eric are both Niners fans. We're super excited. You can get in on a bunch of fun Super Bowl props at BetUS. They got things such as Gatorade color. They, of course, got spread lines so you can bet on whether you take the Niners or the Chiefs. Right now, the Niners are favored, as well as other props such as coin toss props and fun things like that. So go check them out. Use that link in the description box below to go see what they have to offer you for the Super Bowl to help make that fun. And make sure you use that link. And then code JOIN125 for a deposit bonus of 125% on your first 3 deposits. And they'll also give you 10% gambler's insurance for your net losses if you're active every 6 months. So shout out to them for sponsoring this trade deadline stream. And shout out to them for offering a great new promotion.
Apparently, people are saying Nas isn't in the trade.
That would be shocking to me because I don't know
Meto, Goodwin, Watanabe, and Bates Diop in the Royce O'Neal deal.
How does that match? New CBA throwing me for a loop, man. Yeah, this is according to John Gambadoro. I might have said his name right. He's better known as Gambo in the Suns space. Yeah, Metu, Goodwin, Utah, and KBD. I mean, that equals what? Roughly $9 million, Eric? They're bringing back $11 million? Did they have a trade exception, though, is my question.
But they can't use it if they're in the above the first tax, right?
I thought it was above the second tax.
I don't know.
Okay. Me and you need to sit down and actually study the CBA together.
Well, my problem is it's changing over the next couple of years.
I know, that's the tough part, is they're phasing it in a way where it's different every year, which makes it harder to learn for us. Because me and Eric would normally know all the rules off the top of our head. We try.
Patrick Beverley is being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, they get their defender, Pat Bev and Dame together.
Oh, man.
Why? Okay,
they should start a podcast.
That's strange. We were talking about their guard rotation, Eric, and we never mentioned Pat Bev.
Yeah.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't need him anymore. Although...
Billy?
Yeah. Although maybe this means they're about to trade for Brogdon. Okay, I'm done coping.
There's another deal with 2 contenders in the East. It doesn't... Why are they helping each other out?
I told you.
Yeah.
They all do it. It's strange.
Except for Miami.
Yeah.
His Pat Bev pod tweeted it. That's funny.
That's fascinating.
Crossologic says over no more Thibault trade talks. Why? Because the Bucks, who we've said many times, are not going to get Thibault now. Yeah, I think that's a sneaky good pickup for the Bucks, depending on what they gave up.
I mean, Philly doesn't want back salary going into next season, right? Well, Pat Bev's only on a minimum. I'm tripping. Why am I thinking he's making $8 million?
No, he's a minimum. Yeah.
Okay, so that's simple then. They got Pat Connaughton and Pat Beverly. They got 2 Pats.
They need Patty Mills now.
Pat, and Patty. Sounds like a really bad business name. Campaign to the Sixers. So Romp gets Gabe's Pride and Joy campaign. And they get a second. D. Thomas says, thank God campaign is gone.
What second, though? Was that our second? The 34th or 35th pick right now?
Yeah, who knows?
JP Savvy, you think the Bucks are going to, quote, stand pat now?
Okay, I need a countdown timer. During that, 10-minute intro, that's what I was going to put in the countdown timer. But we had to go live right away because everything happened really early this morning.
When the Bucks lose in the playoffs, they can tell each other Cancun in 3 now.
Man. How do I add a countdown timer again? I don't remember.
We got an updates. Have the Magic done anything? No, EB Interior, they have not.
But they could trade for Brogdon. I wish. Dude, I don't remember how to add a freaking countdown timer. I'm tripping. I'm a watch streamer. Anyway.
It's a 2027 Milwaukee second, so it's a good. Yeah, but that's a good trade for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Mike says Pat Bev is a fake good defender, but it's not necessarily his defense. It's just the mentality of when he brings that fight on defense, and that's something that the Bucks just seem kind of stuck in mud at times. And I think Pat Bev will come in and light a fire under some of those guys.
Yep. I think that's a good move for them for sure. He's not any worse than Campaign, and he's the type of guy they need. So, just weird that the Sixers are helping them out. It's just so strange.
Jimmy Gillespie says, can Miami take any of our vets for Jovic? I'm horned up for him, man.
You're still horned up from the off season?
I'll just put it this way. If I even find out that they were talking cordially between the Heat and the Blazers this trade deadline, I will be once again shocked. So
yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance we're making a deal with them.
Supposedly the animosity runs deeper than you guys would expect. And it involves a certain guy named Bert. And somebody with the Heat that I forget.
Harry Giles just got waived by the Nets.
That's sad. Stephen Vaughn is somewhere celebrating.
He doesn't like Harry Giles.
Dude, he ranted about Blazer fans always tell me he's good and he was never good. It just pissed me off. Like that's the one thing he feels strongly about is Harry Giles. Of all things.
Crypto says Giles is a huge bust given the hype he had going into college. Yeah, but that's mostly because of injuries.
Yes.
His knees didn't hold up. Kind of like Odin.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I can't find a freaking countdown. I swear there was a countdown option. But I guess not.
Man, you're struggling.
Yeah, I'm a washed streamer, apparently. Don't know how it happened. Guess I exited my prime. No, it's like seriously nowhere, though. It's not even me. It's like a...
Christopher Aquino, no, we're not going to do that. We missed our chance to get Murphy, but we're not landing Trey Murphy in a trade today. So that'd be a waste of time.
Yeah. I would love for one of the big names to tweet out who's going back to Brooklyn from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And how Roddy is included, because that still makes no sense to me. Sixers want Drummond. I mean, that would be a pretty good holdover until Embiid's back. Drummond's been low-key solid this year, so...
Apparently the Warriors tried to get him.
Yeah, what are the Warriors going to do, man?
Yeah, the Sixers just kind of need someone for depth until Embiid can come back. I guess they're assuming he's going to come back.
Yeah, no countdown timer, I guess. Weird. So strange.
Killian Hayes waived. There's our buyout guy.
Eric, that's our first round value. I can't wait.
At least we're not trading for him, right? I'm
Yeah.
fine if they sign him, but yeah.
Dude,
Monty Williams just started him last game. They win, and
the GM's just like, dude, I've had enough. I made a mistake. Okay, stop playing him so much and showing off my mistake. That's kind of wild that they waived him. There's been some weird stuff all of a sudden.
Campaign might get waived. He'd go back to the Suns.
The Suns would probably take him too.
To be clear, the Pistons had to cut a couple players based on their trades today. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just kind of surprised. I don't think there's any point, Anthony, in the Blazers signing Harry Giles back. I mean, yeah, Sasser's going to get more playing time now. Sasser and Grimes, baby. It's the future. Roman says Lakers not making any moves. Al 12D says Drummond to Warriors. I haven't seen anything about that. I saw that the Warriors tried to get him.
Yeah. Dude, I'm really annoyed at this. I'm about to give up.
Shams tweets funny, says Trevin. The Detroit Pistons are releasing 2021 number 7 pick Killian Hayes.
Just rubbing it in almost.
Jared says KOC punching air right now. Yeah, he had Killian Hayes number 1 on his big board that year.
Yeah, that was a disgrace, but no offense. Maybe it's me. Are you still lagging, Eric?
No, we back.
No,
we're out. We're out. Yeah, people in chat are saying did stream freeze.